Hi, I'm Tony Kaplan, and this is my book, Signs of a Struggle, political crime novel, published by the good people of Pegasus. So, what do you want to know about me? I grew up in an activist family in South Africa and came to the UK 40 years ago, once I finished medical school, so as to avoid being conscripted in the apartheid regime's army. I didn't want to have to fight for the enemy, if you know what I mean. So once in London, I did my specialist training at the Tavistock Clinic and worked for 25 years as a child psychiatrist in frontline services in London. I was a committed child psychiatrist. I set up 3 innovative frontline services. I wrote strategic plans for adolescence services in London, the guidelines for good practice for CAMS in the A&E. I wrote extensively, I taught, and I was a therapist. I think I helped people. I made my contribution. When did I first start writing? Well, at school I did quite a lot of writing. I was the editor of the literary magazine. And at uni I wrote a play and lots of poetry and made 2 short films. And then I guess I had to give up my creative writing pretensions when I became a qualified doctor. But when in my training in psychiatry, I did a qualification in family therapy and got interested in something called narrative therapy, and a particular technique called rewriting family scripts, in which invite the family to co-construct a more helpful, more useful, more hopeful story about themselves and their families. And within that I also wrote lots of court reports for in childcare cases, and I used that technique to try and help the court develop a more compassionate view of the complexities of family life. Signs of a Struggle is set in Greece in 2005, when an environmental blogger goes missing and a body turns up in an old bridge built during the time of the far right-wing junta in the late 60s and 70s. I don't know if you've seen the film Zedd by Costa Gavras. I saw it as a student in South Africa, and its depiction of political repression and police collusion resonated with the repression in South Africa. And this kindled in me an interest in modern Greek political history. And then once in the UK, I started visiting Greece on holiday, and I've been to Greece lots of times now, and I fell in love with the beauty of the country, the warmth of the people, the honesty of the food, the Rebetica music, and the turquoise of the sea. I wanted to write a book which is the kind of book I like to read lying on a beach in Greece. So I made notes, I did a lot of research, I read Greek novels, including Greek crime novels, and I can recommend an author called Petros Markaris, very good. I have cousins who live on an island, and I interviewed some of their friends for background information, interviewed a local historian, and then I started the first draft. You ask, what are the surprising things I learnt during the writing of the novel? Well, one is that there are infinite ways to tell a story. 2, that small changes make a big difference. This was in fact the aphorism we used at the Adolescent Crisis Intervention Unit I worked in. And thirdly, most of the work of writing is rewriting, rewriting and rewriting. I've now written 2 novels, and I'm 70,000 words into a third. I've also written 3 screenplays, 1 play, a short children's book, and a comic novella which I hope will one day become a graphic novel. I've also written during my professional career 2 well-received books on subjects related to child psychiatry. Well, Signs of a Struggle is not my first novel. My first novel I've submitted twice for publication. It's nearly been accepted twice, but just failed at the last moment. So I'm rewriting that or restructuring that and hope to submit it again. So I'm still tinkering with that. You ask, what did I want to be as a child when I grew up? And what I remember was I wanted to be a doctor, a detective, a judge, and a hypnotist. And I think I got to be all of those as a child psychiatrist. You ask me what I like to do when I'm not writing. Well, increasingly these days I paint a lot. I like listening to music and playing music. I play guitar and hand drums and percussion. I like reading, going to movies, watching movies on television, going to galleries, travelling, taking photographs, and cooking for dinner parties for friends. You're invited. What advice would I give aspiring writers? Well, find your hook, find your narrative voice, listen to the voice of your characters, read aloud to hear whether it's authentic. Then see what you've got, then rewrite, get feedback from friends or sample readers, rewrite again. And if you have it within your capacity, marry a successful literary agent. You asked, is there anything that I've hidden in the book that few people will find? Well, I'm not going to tell you, am I? Enjoy.